Just to make a change, there's some more bad weather forecast. But this morning is, as you can see, beautiful, clear sky, still air, so JJ and I set off to meet up some other aircraft and head off on a slightly adventurous trip going round East Cape and on to Gisborne, where we'll have lunch before coming back. That's going to take us a bit over 4.5 hours, but meanwhile, on the way in, we can watch this amateur-built aircraft on its way back in to land at Tauranga Airport. It's a HATS biplane, and we have to circle a little bit before we're allowed past Tauranga because there's a passenger aircraft coming in. They get to land on the runway before we can cross by. Now we're heading down the coast. This is the town of Whakatane, a place we visit from time to time, and our next destination is just over the harbour there. It's called Opotiki, and this is the meeting place for the 5 aircraft that are going to make the trip. So Opotiki is the last place on the flat land before the rugged terrain of East Cape, and importantly it features a fuel stop. We top up our tanks, everybody else does the same. They're great, these machines, no attendance, you just swipe the card, top up your tanks, and away you go. This is Cliff arriving and Murray, and that brings the total to 5. It's coming up 12 o'clock by now and tummies are rumbling, so we're looking forward to getting to Gisborne, but first we've got a lot of scenery to enjoy. As we set off around the Cape, we can see the scenery changing from slightly agricultural, fairly fertile fields coming down to the sea, and getting more and more rugged. You have to be quite a special person to live all the way out on East Cape, but people do that, and it's a wonderful place to visit. Some years ago, Anne and I went round there when we had a camper van. We didn't do it in 4.5 hours or anything like that. It took us 2 days to get from Opotiki to Gisborne. On the way, this is a well-known tourist attraction. A photo Cliff took. It's a little church that's got plenty of history, and that's Cliff's aircraft in front of us going round. And after that we see more fertile land, cliffs that look like they're made out of sort of limestone. And now it's no longer such a smooth morning, the wind is blowing and we're getting bounced about a bit as we travel along past Cape Runaway, and I guess that's a name applied by Captain Cook and his merry crew in the 1700s. The people who went down the coast reported even more turbulent conditions. Here's one of the party coming along to say hello, Gavin in his home-built aircraft, a Europa, just as we're approaching the most easterly point on New Zealand's mainland. Over on the left there was the island known as East Island, making a nice set with North Island and South Island. And I can assure you from the time that Anne and I visited around here in the camper van that the walk up to that lighthouse makes you puff. Another major tourist attraction lies ahead of us, some way down the coast. It's in a place called Tolaga Bay. This is Tolaga Bay. Showing up in the left-hand corner is a long jetty, a monument from the era before roads, when this very distant location was served only by ships. It was never very successful, but is now visited by many tourists every year. More cliffs that look as if they're sort of limestone or some kind of sedimentary rock. Now we're getting a bit closer to Gisborne. It's ahead of us and we're really beginning to experience some strong winds as we come round the corner and get ready to line up for Gisborne Airport, which is on the other side of this bay. Seems to take an age to cross the bay because we've got 20-25 knots of wind slowing us down. The good news is it's more or less straight down the runway, so it's actually quite an easy landing. And Gisborne Airport is one of the few that has a railway line across the runways. The control tower on the left here directs us to cross the apron. That's in front of us, and that's a new word for JJ to learn today. The light aircraft parking is here. from which it's just a short walk across to the airport cafe. Nice selection of cabinet food, soon gone, and here are our good friends Sue and Ian, who live in Gisborne and have come out to meet us specially for lunch. What a treat! Cliff had managed to arrange for us to visit the control tower after lunch. As a result, we were allowed to line up on the runway and take off all together. That doesn't happen very often for ordinary pilots, and we're off again now a little bit further south from Gisborne, and you can see the wind rocking and rolling the aircraft here. There's quite a lot of turbulence as we track along the coast to Waihi Peninsula. It's a pretty little spot, but quite well isolated, and it doesn't seem to have much agriculture and virtually no industry on it, so we wonder how people make a living there. But one thing that is bringing a little bit of development to the area is right out on the furthest tip. We'll get a closer look at that in a minute, and that is Rocket Lab. They're a small company in New Zealand who are setting up to deliver small satellites into low Earth orbit. This is Cliff's photo of their place, and that path down there, or straight line, is the concrete sort of runway between the preparation building and the launch pad. Interestingly, there seems to be only a gravel road between the main road and Rocket Lab's place. Still, time to head off home. The weather is beginning to change. As you can see, the clouds are getting lower, the sky is getting a little bit hazier, and it's quite bumpy in places. And because the clouds are getting lower, we decide we'll nip out to the coast, pop out there just near Opotiki, where we've stopped this morning, and find the clouds lined up along the coast. And that, dear friends, is where the camera battery died. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.